Welcome to episode 30 of the Flag to Flag podcast. I was not expecting this episode to start when it did. Chad pressed the button prematurely, so I am just going off the whim. Hi, Chad.
I'm good. I was trying to get you in the middle of that conversation.
That's not racing related. So we'll save that for the blooper reel, or for the extended cut of episode 30. I think it's episode 30. Let me fact check that.
I think we're on 30 now.
It's 29 or 30. So appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's episode. Really quick to go through, we're going to talk about the All-American 400 weekend, which is what our shirts are. No, this was not planned. I promise. It was not planned. We're going to talk about IndyCar, some news breaking there, talk about this past weekend's Brazilian GP, talk about some local racing at Newport Speedway, first race in 10 years, and the drama behind race manipulation in the NASCAR Cup Series and what's going on that side. But Chad, where were we this past weekend?
We were at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for the 40th running of the All-American 400. I actually did the math. It was my 11th year going to the race.
Very nice.
This year. John's very first, and he got to take home a little souvenir.
I got a little souvenir here, little cork. Backstory on this: Chad stole this from a little kid.
No,
to JK, no, it was a grown adult. He punched him in the face instead.
No. So when the winner got out of the car, they sprayed champagne, and when one of the corks flew out, I followed it, and it landed close to me, and I went over and grabbed it.
Yep, and so I have a cork, which is really cool because Jake Garcia, NASCAR driver, actually won the race. So cool to have.
We were standing right behind his car before the race,
which was weird, which was just kind of crazy because I was standing there and you were like, hey, how close have you been to a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver? And I was like, this close. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy that he won. So because he wasn't up at the front all race long, he was kind of near midfield.
Yeah, he kind of was. He wasn't really. Then again, those last we had two overtimes, which ASA Stars National Tour runs a very similar race procedure rules to NASCAR, as within stages and overtime, which is I kind of like. But yeah, so it was a fantastic weekend. It was an action-packed weekend from the drop of the green flag for the Bandoleros on Friday night to the checkered flag in the All-American 400 on Sunday evening. It was great. I didn't get back to Ohio till 1 a.m. Monday morning Eastern time, so that was pretty insane.
Yes, it was.
What was your favorite part about the week, about the day?
I just realized my mic's pretty hot. I would probably say this is pretty cool. Okay. It's a cool thing. I think seeing some of the pit stops right behind pit wall was pretty cool. Yeah. I'd probably say even turn three was pretty cool, but I love turn one. That spot in turn 1 and 2 is, I think, better than 3 and 4, just simply because of how close you are comparatively. And also because it looks out into the sun when the sun is setting, so you get really great photos, images from that too. So I'd probably say that was pretty cool, outside of Chad, like I said, stealing this from a kid. That was fun to watch. No, he didn't steal it from a kid. But no, it was great. I think this is probably right up there. Cool seeing everybody out there too. So it was fun. It was a fun time. So My driver dumped a guy with 3 to go, so that was great. Then he got moved to the back. So
yeah. But it was a fantastic race, and now everyone's sights are set on the Snowball Derby, which that's a bucket list race for me. I was gonna go to it this year, but we had something come up. But I'd say it was a pretty entertaining weekend, pretty fun weekend, and I already can't wait for next year.
Yeah, it should be fun. I want to definitely do more coverage of it.
Are you gonna go to all 3 days?
We'll see. I'm trying to. I think more people would come out for the 400, or at least the late models on Saturday, and then the 400 on Sunday. But yes, for sure. So, well, that's fun. My mic is. I'm trying to talk quieter because I'm watching my mic adjustment right now, and it's just kind of going all over the place.
I turned you down a little bit. You're better now.
Yeah, I saw you turn me down. But yeah, I can see it right now. Okay, that's cool. Hopefully
right.
the audio is fine. But yeah, let's
Right.
go on
Jump
from
right into it.
that. Yeah, so IndyCar, my favorite team now, outside of driver Joseph Newgarden. Prema announced F2 standout driver Robert Schwartzman to join Callum Ilott to their driver lineup in 2025. That's a amazing pickup.
Yeah.
That is huge for them, and I would not be surprised if you see these two drivers battling up in the top 10 of the point standings because Prema's no joke. They're good and they have the equipment. I mean, yeah, I know it's their first year, but the talent behind what they have, the potential, the resources. Now with Schwartzman joining Ilott, I mean, you're talking a pretty serious lineup here. And watch out for them. I mean, they're the Italian team. I'm going to be repping them. So I'm curious in your thoughts. You know, we're seeing a lot of these other drivers coming into, let's say, you know, a Haley Deegan going into Indy next. You have Robert Schwartzman now going from F2 to IndyCar. You know, so a lot of the Formula drivers, Formula as in like F1, F2, F3, F4 going into IndyCar. How do you think this is going to? How do you think he's going to, you know, do against these full-time IndyCar drivers?
Well, kind of piggybacking off of what you just said with you know, seeing these guys going from like F2 and NASCAR coming to IndyCar. You know, I really that's kind of a bittersweet thing in my opinion, because when you see someone you see someone in F2, and then even folks like Marcus Ericsson and Roman Grosjean, you know, it's almost like, well, they couldn't make it in Formula One, so now they're falling on to IndyCar, which I hate that to Formula One. That's what they see IndyCar as, and even some NASCAR drivers or even some NASCAR
Right,
fans. But
right.
I mean, if you sit down and watch at least, I mean, I want to say a season, but I mean, even just one of these races, it's insane. There's more racing. I love IndyCar, but to answer your question, I mean, I think this is good for the sport. I mean, Haley Deegan is bringing a bunch of fans over.
Yes, she
You know,
is.
she's got a big what's the word I'm looking for, audience that she's bringing over. And you know, Robert Schwartzman, we love seeing these younger guys get up, and you know, at first they're a little timid because they're racing they're racing a Formula style car, so they're thinking
Right.
they're going to race, and then they see what these guys, you know, Formula One, they like to bump bump and batter each other. They like to rub up against each other. So, you know, I think for the first couple races, he's going to be kind of doing some growing pains, but I wouldn't be, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if he's battling in the top 10 of the points towards when we head to Nashville at the end of the year next year.
Absolutely, it'll be fun to watch, and that Grand Prix. It's on an oval. Is going on August 31st. So that will be one that I'm going to try to get to, but obviously
Wait,
anniversaries
that's
come before and
I was
everything.
about to
So
say that's
yep,
your anniversary. Yeah, you got
yeah. So
Sophia
Chet,
right. You got Sophia right next to you. I wonder what her
yeah,
plans are.
yeah, I'm getting a glare. I'm not looking though, but I'm getting a glare. Chad, you might be down the one podcast host if I keep on talking. So let's switch subjects to Formula One. Chad's dying over here. Chad's dying. Okay.
That's too good. That's too good. That's
So
too
yeah,
good.
I'm with the comedy today. I'm bringing all the
All the
good
jokes.
vibes. So let's move to Formula One and let's talk about this past weekend. Also, there are no other IndyCar news as of yet. That is the breaking news. Moving to Formula One, we had a wild Brazilian Grand Prix,
Yeah.
starting with qualifying, getting moved to the morning of. It was raining, and to start it off, Norris won the sprint, which was cool to see. But it was a wild race. We saw drivers lose it under caution. We saw chaos. We saw untimely pit stops, and lo and behold, the winner of it all was Max Verstappen. And he really, I think, silenced everybody who's been talking about how he can't pass clean and he doesn't really know how to win from outside the first place or the front of the grid on the front row. I mean, he came from 17th on back, and I don't know if you saw my video on this, Chad, but he started the race in 17th. He was up to 10th place by lap 2 and up to the top 6 by lap 11. And obviously, Norris and Russell had an unfortunate pit stop with a VEC virtual safety car, but still beat the field by 20 seconds. I mean, dude, he proved his skill. And with all that being said, there was no DRS. And so, and even what was probably more shocking than that, you saw Alpine get a double podium with Ocon and Gasly, which was insane to see. So, this from a point perspective, I mean, let's talk about that. We've looked at specifically who could be eligible. There's 3 technically eligible drivers, even though I'm going to argue that as much as it pains me.
Well,
but talk about that though. Talk about that.
I thought about a bit more what you said, because we have a note sheet that we use for these podcasts, and when I was making the notes, I had 3 drivers down for eligible for the championship: Verstappen, Norris, and Leclerc. Leclerc being, if Verstappen and Norris finish outside the top 10 for Vegas, the Qatar Sprint, the Qatar race, and Abu Dhabi, and Leclerc wins all of that and gets the fastest lap, he will tie Max Verstappen at, I believe, I have a number here.
It's like 392. Is that right?
At 393.
393. Yeah.
He will tie him. Now, after thinking about it, I remembered the rule is tiebreaker goes to the person with the most race wins, which I believe is Verstappen.
Verstappen won the 7 out of the first 10 and just won his 8th race. Leclerc has won 3 so far, so he would be at 6. So so the math doesn't work from a tiebreaker perspective. Yeah.
So there's that. But Verstappen and Norris right now, that's your championship fight. He still has a chance. I think we're going to, in all honesty, going into this, I think we're going to have to see a bad weekend for Verstappen, and in that same weekend have Norris win. So I think that's going to be the ultimate deciding factor in this. I mean, when I say bad weekend, I mean outside the top 10 or 10th or maybe 9th. But you're looking at that, and then from a constructor standpoint, McLaren still leads, followed by Ferrari and Red Bull. All 3 of those teams are still eligible for the Constructors' Championship. So
it's a good constructors battle. I mean, Ferrari, I would say has had the most consistency over the last 3 races outside of Sainz and whatnot, having him, get wrecked, or he wrecked himself. But Ferrari is in a great spot to potentially have a double podium for Vegas. They performed very well last year. Probably one of the most gutsy dive bombs you'll see from Leclerc. I was on my feet screaming. And so, Vegas, when it comes to that battle, I think Ferrari can close the gap to McLaren. And we could possibly see this, 3-horse race come down to the prancing horses possibly coming out on top here at the end of the season. We'll see.
It's going to be the kind of picking up, it's going to be a Kiwi versus a dancing horse, or versus a prancing horse versus a
dancing horse
versus dancing bulls. So
race, all the things, all the fun things.
But a big it was a great race for Verstappen coming up. Even before lights went out, we had stuff going on, which it was you can tell I'm speechless about it. The fact that Lance Stroll is still in a race car astonishes me.
I'm going to use that as a clip right now because I completely agree with you.
Go ahead.
You want to know why? We're not going to. It's just one word. 2 words. Really 3 words. Lawrence, money, and nepotism. That's probably the 3 words I would go with.
You were going to say something else, and I was going to make a dark joke. Anyway.
That's for the uncut version, Chad. You got to remember that.
Never mind. I won't say that then. I won't say that. I struggle to say that because I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Lance Stroll, I will admit, he's in better shape than me, and he's had better success. And I mean, obviously, he's had better success in racing than me because he's in Formula One. Now, the way he got to Formula One might not be the most agreed upon way, but let's look at the big picture here. That's how most people are getting into Formula One now. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. It's been like that for a while. All right. Two of the biggest names ever in Formula One were pay drivers.
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher, Niki Lauda.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Niki, you've seen the movie Rush. Niki Lauda took a loan out of the bank, went to a team, gave him the funding, and he raced for him. I mean,
yeah.
So as much as I hate to say it, that's what it is.
It is, and it shows. And it's not even like a question of, it's not even an opinion, because if you look at the facts, he doesn't have the finishes, he doesn't have the results, and it's. I think everybody knows why, and I think that's just where it is, and it's just where we are, and it's unfortunate because I think there could definitely be 2 seats open in Aston Martin, because of Alonso where he is in his career, Lance with his performance, but when you look at how old Lance Stroll is, let me just put in this comparison. He is 26. He is 1 year older than I am. And then if you look at where Fernando Alonso is, he's 43. Imagine, Chad, we will see Lance Stroll in an F1 car for the next 17 years.
I mean, that's...
Just think about that. If this is where we are, like that, it could be the possibility if he races to as long as how, or too deep into his age as Fernando has. So
yeah, I mean, you get a handful of drivers who I call these. You get a few drivers who become. You have 3 types of drivers in Formula One. You have drivers who are good or were once good because of the car they were in. A Valtteri Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo type deal. And then you get the guys who are good, with Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc, Norris, Piastri. You get those guys. And then you have the guys who, I hate saying it, but it's the best way I know how to describe it. I call forgetful drivers.
Yeah.
All right. The amount of times I had to be reminded that Antonio Giovinazzi was a Formula One driver. And then, and even Guan Yu Zhou, I would argue, is kind of like that.
Who?
Or Zhou Guan Yu? Is it Guan Yu?
There it is.
Zhou Guan Yu or Guan Yu Zhou? I don't know how to say it.
Zhou. it's the first one.
Okay. Guan Yu Zhou.
No, the second one then.
Zhou Guan Yu.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
Well, I forget how to say his fucking name, all right?
Well, you just flipped it and it just sounded so odd.
Well, I've heard it been called both, but then you get
Zhou Guan Yu.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's not horrible, but at the same time, he's not up there. Then again, he has a John Deere tractor as a car, so we'll we'll give him that. But then you look at guys who were so bad. That's how you remember them. And I mean, I don't want to say Lance Stroll is inherently a horrible driver. I mean, there's been worse drivers than him, but I don't know. I've seen Bandolero drivers better than him. But
there you go. Boom, mic drop. But yeah, well, that's where we are. We have the Las Vegas GP coming up here in a couple weekends. And speaking about the Las Vegas GP, after doing some research, they are dropping ticket prices. Now, after further research, they are dropping ticket prices for general admission. And first come, first served bleacher style seating in the Heineken GA single day ticket area. Caesar's Palace experience is still open, but the Heineken 3-day GA is sold out. The GA for
website?
Yes, I am. The Flamingo General is sold out, and the T-Mobile General Admission is sold out. So there's a couple options. That's to go from $99 up to $175, all the way up to $850 to the Caesar's Palace experience that have been discounted. And I would have to look at the notes specifically, but I believe these are the sections that historically, there's only been, this race hasn't been around for a while. These are the sections of people where it's hard to see the track, and the sections that are sold out are the ones that are the best racing points to see the
Yeah,
race. So,
I mean,
and a first come first serve grandstand basis, that's obviously doesn't mean you're guaranteed a spot. So, there's been a lot of, I don't want to say misinformation about this. There's been all the facts aren't being presented. People are like, oh yeah, F1's trying to make tickets as cheap as possible because they're not getting anybody to show up to the race. Well, that's not entirely true, because there are areas that are sold out and there are areas that aren't. And if you look at the areas that aren't, historically, those are not the best viewing areas. And you can't say from a perspective of whether or not people want to go, that a ticket slash is the result of that. Actually, I'm going to rephrase that. That just didn't make any sense. It's just tough to justify that nobody wants to go to these races when you see some sections sold out and some aren't, even after they slash tickets to $99. Even if $99 people are going to pay for a shitty seat or a shitty viewing area, no matter what you slash it to, people may not want to pay that. So a lot of people are not happy with this race. A lot of people don't think that it should be in Vegas. A lot of people don't think it should be down the strip. It's a cool spectacle. I agree. The seating is not great because you're in downtown Vegas. But I think I wish that the whole story would be presented, because a lot of people are spinning it as nobody cares about Formula One and it needs to go away. So,
I mean, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no one cares about Formula One, because, I mean, let's be honest. It whether we like it or not, it has a massive fan base. All right. And, and by no means are me and John trying to bash Formula One. I mean, we literally just got done talking about a fantastic Sao Paulo Grand Prix, where Lewis Hamilton actually got to drive Ayrton Senna's car, which I actually thought was very, very cool. Mm-hmm. But it's difficult when it's difficult when, I don't know. How do I say this? I'm trying to find the right words. I mean, I feel like Formula One going to Las Vegas is the same as NASCAR going to the LA Coliseum.
In a way, I could see that for sure.
Not from a ticket price perspective, but from a fan perspective. You're not going to your demographic. I don't want to call the race at the Coliseum a gimmick, because
it's a spectacle. It's a spectacle, more of a race.
Spectacle, but I mean, I'm not going to lie. I love seeing heavy 2-ton stock cars duke it out on a quarter mile. I love
100%.
seeing that. That's what I grew up watching. That's what I love seeing. And Las Vegas, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a boring racetrack. It provided some decent racing. But I think NASCAR went to the Coliseum to say they raced in a stadium. Formula One's going to Las Vegas just so they can say they raced at Las Vegas. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it is, and in my opinion, there's other facilities, there's other tracks that I feel like are more deserving. Like, there's been talks for the past couple years of Chicago getting a Formula One race, which, I'm on the fence about. In a way, I actually might be able to go watch a Formula One race because I have family in Chicago. But in another way, it's like, is Chicago the right demographic for that? You know? It's also kind of hard to pinpoint their demographic, because in recent years, American fans have exploded onto the scene, but their roots are still in Europe. NASCAR, it's a little bit easier because, a lot of their fan base is in the Southeast. And, I mean, you see it all the time, it's the more popular race. I mean, some of the tracks they go to, I mean, let's see. I'm trying to think of a short track that's outside of the Southeast. A short track outside of the Southeast. We have Dover, but I don't know if we consider that a short track. New Hampshire. No, that's not necessarily. That's a speedway. But you get what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
NASCAR took a branch out, but their roots are still within their demographic. All right? In the Southeast, we like short track, rubbing is racing, bumping and battering. That's where all of our short tracks are in the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
So Formula One, I think, as much as they might think that they're better, they could take a page out of NASCAR's book and go to your demographic, like, stay true to your demographic. Sure, try these things out. Try the Vegas, try the Chicago, try whatever. but don't get rid of your original fan base. That's what NASCAR's doing with the Clash of the Coliseum.
Correct.
Or doing at the Clash. It's going to Bowman Gray. I'm honestly debating on buying tickets.
Oh, you better buy tickets.
Because that's going to be insane. Well,
yeah.
Well, I want to go to Bowman Gray to witness a Bowman Gray race. Not a NASCAR race, a Bowman Gray race.
A Bowman Gray race, yeah, for sure.
That would be insane. But yeah, I mean, I do like the ticket prices are slashed. I mean, obviously when you lower the price of something, it's going to become more popular, and Formula One themselves, they can't create the racing product. We see NASCAR try and do that all the time, create a racing product, and it ends up sometimes hindering the racing product.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, yeah, there's that as well. I mean, you got to. I went on a little tangent right there, and I apologize, but you go on about. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on, and I think the thing is getting away from the bread and butter of what Formula One is. While street circuits are great, Miami. That's I think an interesting race. That's I think should have some say in. It's a great track. Vegas is even a good track. It's just there's a disconnect because obviously the most popular GP is Austin. It's the United States GP. It's a official track. It has the attendance. I've been trying to find the attendance numbers for this year. They haven't come out with them yet. But you're talking about 400,000 to 450,000 people over the weekend. It's worth trying, and I applaud them for it, just like I applauded NASCAR for going to the Coliseum. But you got to, like you said, stick to your true demographic. Go to an actual course or build a track that is more friendly, if you know what I mean. Because Vegas is an expensive market, and I guess that's who they're trying to go towards. But think about the American F1 fan base comparatively to the European F1 fan base. It's different demographics, different income levels. It spans, but it's a little bit different. Yeah. So you got to keep that into perspective. That's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking off of what you said right there. It's kind of Miami and Las Vegas. Those are higher income areas. All right. Certain parts of Austin, Texas in general isn't as high. So you need to accommodate for where you are, But to answer your question from earlier, I saw something that said it was between 430,000 to 450,000.
Yeah, that makes sense. I figured it would be somewhere in that range, and it's always a great show. And so I think it's a lot of people are trying to make the argument of taking some races out of the states, leaving COTA. I am not against that, but I think consolidating would be better. Going to a true course would be better, or having one street course, which could be Chicago. We don't know. Seeing what that could be Detroit. We don't know what it could be, but I think definitely, looking at it, this upcoming, or I guess a couple of weeks from now, going back to the main discussion, ticket prices have been slashed. A little bit of not the full story being told on why. Definitely they're trying to get more people because people aren't buying because the seats are garbage. So
it might be that, and also because of, honestly, I'm not going to lie, the race felt disorganized. I wasn't there, but the race felt like they weren't prepared. It felt like it was disorganized, and in a way, it felt rushed.
For sure, it did. Yeah,
because in which you look at it, like Music City Grand Prix. The first year of the Music City Grand Prix, I was still working in downtown Nashville. And I had to take a different route to work because the Music City Grand Prix went over the Korean Veterans Boulevard Bridge. Well, I took that every day to work. Well, for about a week, I had to take a different route, which me being a racing fan, I didn't mind. But I knew other people that it affected them. And that's how it is with most street courses. They actually just shut down the streets for about a week.
Yeah, and when you're in Vegas, it's the damn strip. Like, the strip is shut down. Now, again, people can walk. They have crossovers, but
Yeah.
the strip is shut down, which is tough. And that's
But
where I think
this past year they would reopen it in between.
correct.
So there's also that as well, like someone flicking a cigarette out the window, someone throwing a bottle out the window. There's stuff like that you have to take into account for. You can't control a racetrack like you can at a permanent racetrack like COTA,
Right.
or a street, or it's not as easy, but like a street course like they did in Nashville, or like they do in Chicago for the NASCAR race. And so I feel like there's a lot more factors, and I feel like Formula One may have bit off more than they could chew with this one.
But also, you got to throw this into it. People don't want to go to a race when the championship's already decided. Let's just be real. So
That's
ticket
fair.
prices for the ticket prices before Max went on his little bit of a dry spell for the USGP in Austin were at typical prices. Once Max and there started to be a closer championship battle, those prices went up. It's because people were willing to pay more to see a battle, and they would want to see that on track, because it wasn't and I think it's a matter of the demographic here as well. But when you have a driver who's done so well and won as much as Max has won, it's almost like you're going into the weekend already knowing what the result's going to be. Or this year, I would say that's completely different during the middle portion of the season, even the beginning. And so that increased the prices. But I can tell you, the way that the season plays out affects attendance, and it affects prices due to what people want to see. I mean, it's a matter of the sport. It's just like a team when they do bad. And like, for example, the Carolina Panthers, their attendance is awful, is awful, because they're so bad right now, and they've been terrible. It's the same across all sports. When a certain athlete comes in, like a Caitlin Clark, ticket prices go up, and so does attendance, because people want to see that. And literally, and this is an example because I'm working with a client right now who actually is in basketball, and when you saw the Indiana Fever get out of the playoffs, what happened? Attendance dropped. It was higher than what it would be on average, but attendance dropped.
Yeah.
Why? They wanted to see Caitlin Clark. And when you want to see Caitlin Clark, it's almost, it's a double-edged sword. As people want to see people do well, but when it's too much and you already expect it, like a race, it can have an inverse effect, which is it's interesting how that determines based on the sport it is. So yeah.
And a great example of that is Lewis Hamilton for a number of years. I mean, from what I heard, Wes McBride, you know him, from from Music City, now K1, Music City Indoor Karting, now K1 Speed. He would go to the USGP almost every year, and then once Drive to Survive came out and popularity boomed, he's like, I can't afford to go.
Because the demand for it goes up. Yep.
The demand as well. And I will always say this, and I will never forget 2023, Indianapolis 500. I decided to go to the race a month out from the event, 1 month before the race. I don't know if you can hear the sirens outside, but 1 month before the race. $84 a piece.
That's wild. Yeah.
That, because they know who their fan base is. All right. You can say IndyCar is boring. You can say whatever. IndyCar takes care of their fans. That's why I'm such a big fan of IndyCar. That's why I'm such a big fan of NASCAR. They take care of the people who bring them the money. Where, yes, there are things that NASCAR does to try and reach that higher demographic. If you want to pay a little bit more, you can get a nice box suite with free drinks, free food. You can get that stuff. But then they're also giving it to the everyday person who just wants to take their family out to a sporting event. Where Formula One is solely targeting that high 1%-ish person. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. No, I think you're spot on.
Yeah. I didn't think that'd take up as much time as it did that one topic. But
no. Also, did you realize our last episode was drafted for some reason? That it's in draft. It didn't even get posted.
Our last episode never got posted?
No, that's so weird. Like, I'm looking at it right now.
So wait, we posted clips from the show, but it never got posted?
That apparently, I guess that's so odd. No, I genuinely don't know why. It's out on YouTube.
2 episodes one day?
Yeah, why not?
We can't just go from 28 to 30. We can't.
No, I know. No, I just published it. That was weird. Okay, it's out on YouTube, so either way, it's still out there. But either way, Las Vegas GP prices are getting slashed, and we'll see what happens here in a couple weeks when we get to the race. But let's move on now to the local racing report. We are in Newport, Tennessee, just north of good old Knoxville. Right. Shout out to my Vols for beating Kentucky at home. Dark mode game. Got the dark mode flag out in the garage, out looking over the carport. So go Vols. But go ahead, hit us with the local racing report.
Yeah, the local racing report. We are, like John said, we are at Newport Speedway in Newport, Tennessee. Their first oval track race in roughly 10 years. Not their first event. A few weeks ago, they actually had a rallycross event.
That's cool.
And so they put like a jump on the front stretch. It was a pretty cool event. All right, John's munching. Here we go. Newport Speedway. They had a host of events, including the Hendrick City Chevrolet Southeast Super Truck Series, the Honey Hush Boutique. That's a name. Southeast Limited Late Models, Carolina Vintage Racers, Street Stocks, All-American Heating and Air, Mod 4 Ponies, Mod 4s, Legends, Front Wheel Drive, Lake Days, Crown Vics. And here are your top 3 from each. Hendrick City Chevrolet Southeast Super Truck Series in third place, number 8 of Ed Surratt. In second place, number 15, Cameron Williams. And in first place, number 50, Tim Lolis. Honey Hush Boutique Southeast Limited Late Models in third place, 01, Roger Powell. Second place, number 92M, Mart Nesbitt. And your winner, number 52, Lance Gatlin. Carolina Vintage Racers in third place, 28, Doug Hill. Number 83 in second, Hank Massaro. And in the number 61, coming home with the win, Marty Reed. In the Street Stock Division, number 15, Marvin Green comes home third. 08, Roger Henderson comes home second. And taking home your Street Stock win in the number 94, John Mampf. I'm going to say Mampf. All-American Heating and Air, Mod 4 Ponies in third place. Number 1, Levi Fox. In second place, number 58, Thomas Mayers. And in first place, number 22, Mitchell Fox. I actually just noticed this. There were 4 cars in that race. 3 of them had the last name Fox.
Really?
Yeah. Now into the Mod 4s. Number 3 are in third place, the number 710 of Brandon Davis. In second place, number 17 of Christopher Ambergy. And your winner, number 3, Kevin Cantor. In the Legend Cars, in third place, number 55, Marty Roberts Sr. In second place, in the 55R, Marty Roberts III. Actually, hold on. Fourth place, this is a 4-car race as well. Fourth place, 54, Marty Roberts Jr. Third place, number 55, Marty Roberts Sr. Second place, number 54R, Marty Roberts III. And
you think they're related?
You know what? That'd be something. And your winner in the Legend Car race, number 93, Aiden Walker, which, if you have not seen his photography page, I highly recommend it. He is one of the people who I consider really good behind the camera. Now for your front wheel drives. Finally, we have a division that calls it what it actually is. In third place, number 57, David Trent. Second place, 27, James Powell. And your winner, number 26, Jason Ketron. And finally, your late day crown Vics. In third place, number 17, Chris Ambergy. Second place, 17S, Steve Owens. And your winner, number 41, Joseph McGill. If you would like your local short track shouted out on the Flag to Flag podcast, email flagtoflag10@gmail.com or hit us up on any of our social media platforms. Listen out for those at the end of the episode. And make sure you go out to your local short track and bring a friend. This week's Flag to Flag at the track will be, once again, in Nashville, Music City Quarter Midget Racing Association. I will be out there flagging and officiating the race, so that'll be super exciting. And then after that, I don't know when the next flag to flag at the track is going to be.
No idea.
I mean, we're getting to that time of the year, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's
three,
nearing.
We have 3 Formula One races left, 1 NASCAR race left. I swear, NASCAR season always goes by so fast.
It's the back end of the season that always goes by pretty quick.
That's
so
exciting. Anyway,
exactly.
Speaking
So
of NASCAR, let's get into it.
yeah, speaking of NASCAR, so let's talk about what happened here this past weekend really quick, and we'll look forward into what we got going on
We had
this
some
upcoming.
action.
Yep. So in the trucks, Christian Eckes won at Martinsville, but Chandler Smith, not Chandler Smith, Taylor Gray. Yep, there was a little bit of a frustration there. Got moved. Nothing egregious. Just racing. I saw the same thing in the Xfinity race with Cole Custer, Chandler Smith, and Almirola won again in that 20 car. They're going to be battling for that team championship in Phoenix. And so, really quick, looking at this, just kind of summarizing this very quickly. The championship 4 for the trucks, you got Enfinger, Eckes, Majeski, and Heim. The championship 4 for Xfinity, you got Hill, Allmendinger, Cole Custer, and Justin Allgaier. And they're all going to be racing at Phoenix this weekend. So it's going to be a fun one. But really, the big topic of conversation is going to be, obviously, Ryan Blaney winning the race. But really getting overlooked by all the race manipulation controversy. And I don't really want to spend a lot of time talking about it because it's all over the place. You know what I mean?
It is. And before we kind of get into that, I do want to say this thing about the issue with Eckes. I didn't see what happened until I talked to Dawson Sutton at the fairgrounds, and Taylor and Eckes was already locked in.
Yeah.
Now I can understand, hey, he wins the race. That's one less person who has a legitimate shot of getting in. And yeah, so that's kind of what happened there. But I mean, this race manipulation thing, I'll kind of let you talk about that because I don't have the time to wrap my head around that. But
yeah. So
I've seen bits and pieces.
So to make this long story short, let's see, where do we start with this? There was many instances, but looking at the end of it, basically the 1 of Ross Chastain, the 3 of Austin Dillon, blocked for the 24 due to, we think, Chevrolet alliances. We also are under the impression that the 23 had a flat tire, which his car is actually under inspection right now. And apparently they have not found anything yet. So that's kind of the latest news on that. So you have race manipulation from the 1 and the 3. You have race manipulation for the 23 who did that to let the 20 car by because 2311 and Joe Gibbs have a contractual partnership of IP. They support each other. Well, really, Joe Gibbs supports 2311. And therefore, that allowed Christopher Bell to get into the playoffs based off a tiebreaker. Well, Christopher Bell, which some people disagree, decided to dive it into turn 3, which is fine. Hit the wall, which is fine. But what isn't fine is that he went over the crossover gate and was full throttle against the wall. And we've seen what happens when you do that. And we know that that is a safety violation. And so he got docked 4 points, which moved him out, which moved William Byron in. So that's where we are. Now, from what I know, according to Bob Pockrass and other sources that I've looked at, the 1 and the 3 are still being investigated. The 23, there hasn't been anything that's come back from the complete teardown of the car that shows that there was anything wrong, which tells me it's going to break the 100% rule. And it's hard to argue that the 1 and the 3 did break the 100% rule, because what's different from them blocking at a super speedway versus what they did on Sunday? There's no difference. I mean, manufacturers can block all the time. Think about Kyle Larson was told not to push Brad Keselowski. Why? Because of manufacturer. Nobody had an issue with it really, but now it's an issue. So there's a lot of things going on with this, and no official fines, no official penalties have been laid out outside of Christopher Bell getting docked for wild riding at Martinsville. So that's where we are to sum everything up.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot to wrap your head around, and that's kind of why I haven't gotten too far into it. I mean,
Yeah, those are the facts, though.
I mean, yeah, that's the facts, and there are so many different controversies that come out, where if you look at a few of this, it's really not that, I don't want to say it's not controversial, but some of it's not true, you know? Now, there are radio stuff of Austin Dillon and Ross Chastain talking about, hey, how can we get these, how can we get a Chevy into this?
Exactly.
Because if a Chevy wins the championship, it benefits Chevy, which benefits all the Chevy teams.
Yep, Chevy Performance Group. Yep.
Yeah, so, you have that. Then you also have stuff with, same with Toyota, same with Ford. And that's why you see a lot of manufacturers, because it's like, this is what, in a way, when you're a NASCAR driver, you're on 3 different teams. You're on your team where you're the driver. All right? Like, Noah Gragson is on the 10-car team. Noah Gragson is also on Stewart-Haas Racing that has Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, Josh Berry. How the hell could I forget?
I was about to say I'm not going to tell you because that is sad.
All right, and you have that.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of Stewart-Haas Racing, Taylor Kitchen from Above the Yellow Line posted reposted a Twitter post from Rodney Childers. Did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
It was a little heart wrenching because
wait, was it where he was watching Kevin Harvick's
podcast in his empty office?
Yeah, that's
I
rough.
was like, dang. But yeah, then you have the Ford group,
right,
where you've got Gragson, Berry, Preece, Briscoe. Then you've also got Logano, Blaney, Cindric, what's his name, McDowell. You got all these other, you got all the Ford guys.
Yeah,
and so, which is weird. I haven't really noticed it. I noticed it last year, and I noticed it this year. This type of stuff happening, but I didn't notice it until around the same time each season. It's toward the end of the season.
Yeah,
like when we go to Daytona to start the year, we don't hear much talk about guys pushing different manufacturers, and like it's not really guys are just pushing guys.
Yeah.
Then we get to the Talladega Fall race. Now it's an issue. Now, okay, I'm only pushing my fellow Ford, or I'm only pushing my fellow Chevy drivers.
Yep. Yeah.
So you get stuff like that.
Yeah, and then that's where we are. And right now, I'm gonna do live see if there's anything else that's come out about this. As I've looked, I haven't seen anything.
Me neither.
Nope. It's no, nothing. Nothing. I got nothing. So there's nothing there. So that's where we are. That's the current
chance. There's a chance there might not be any more. NASCAR might take a look at this and shut this whole thing down.
I mean, we will see. We will see if the 1 and the 3 get anything. I'll be surprised, unbiasedly, if the 24 does, because there hasn't been any 24 communication that's been released that shows that they were in on this. Now, what goes on behind closed doors?
Yeah,
you don't know.
Which I reiterate this all the time, and I say it all the time, and I'm gonna say it again. Me and John are 2 guys. I'm sitting in a dorm room in northwestern Ohio. John's sitting, I wouldn't call it your bedroom, his office.
My office, yeah.
His office bedroom. That sounds like you live in your bedroom.
That's rough. That's a little rough. You need to rephrase that one.
Yeah, but we're literally 2 guys talking to a camera, talking into a microphone. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. With the whole Stewart-Haas finance, Stewart-Haas closing, we don't see the numbers on that. We don't see the text messages that Rick Hendrick and what's his name?
Joe Gibbs,
or all these guys. We don't see the text messages between those guys. We don't know what's actually happening behind the closed. We can sit here, we can conspiracize all we want. We don't know shit.
Yeah. At the current moment, we don't know.
Yeah,
so
and there. I mean, a lot of the news, like if you have notifications turned on for the NASCAR app, for anyone who's listening to this, the moment you get that notification and you're learning about that, we're learning about it too.
Yeah, so we just decided to share it publicly and give a little bit of our 2 cents on that. So
yeah,
but yeah,
that's our 2 cents. You guys can do the remaining $4.96. Get it? Because my 2 cents, your 2 cents,
Your 2 cents
$4
is
cents.
why $5 though?
I don't know.
It's like a nice, better than one. Yeah, got it. That makes sense. But yeah, so let's talk about where we are though. So looking at the playoffs, I mentioned before, Enfinger, Eckes, Majeski, Heim, your top 4 going into Phoenix. You have Austin Hill, AJ Allmendinger, Cole Custer, and Justin Allgaier going into the final 4 at Phoenix. And you have Blaney, Logano, Reddick, and Byron.
Yeah.
And really quick, I'm going to give you some of the statistics at what happened at this past race, or the spring race at Phoenix, when it comes to the playoff drivers. So let's start with, which the Truck Series doesn't go here, so let's start with the Xfinity Series. Highest finishing playoff driver at this current point, Championship 4 driver, was Austin Hill, who finished 4th. Cole Custer, who finished 5th, leading 61 laps. You have, where is he? Because he's all the way down here a little bit. I know he dropped for some reason. Where are you, Mr. Justin Allgaier? Justin Allgaier, or AJ Allmendinger finished 18th. And then Justin Allgaier finished 29th, but led 52 laps because he was involved in an accident. So the top 2 heavy hitters are Allgaier and Custer. Now,
yeah,
Allmendinger, he wants to probably to win this more than anybody. He's going to put somebody in the wall. Also, we don't know if Brandon Jones is going to, not Brandon Jones. We don't know if Chandler Smith is going to retaliate against Cole Custer, because that could be a whole controversy in of itself. So
it really could. Yeah. And
that's where we are. Yeah. With Xfinity. And looking at Cup, Ryan Blaney in the spring finished in 5th. You had Tyler Reddick finish in 10th, but led 68 laps. You had William Byron finish 18th. And then you also had, where is he? Joey Logano, who got involved in an accident on lap 203, finished in 34th. So based off of the previous numbers, you're looking at Ryan Blaney and right now, technically, Austin Hill for the highest finishing positions to win the 2 championships. If you're just purely going off of last race's results, obviously that's not the only indication and the only statistic you should look at. But that shows you a little bit about what happened. And all these drivers battle up front here. I mean, Byron's has won here. Reddick, top 10 in the spring. Blaney, always strong here. You have Logano, who is I would say not further on back, but all these guys are going to be battling up here. So we got the championship. This is it. This is the final slate for all 3 series. So, Chad, what are your thoughts? I mean, who do you think going into this weekend has the best chance to win the championship in all 3 series?
Well, let's start off with the Truck Series here. We've got 4 drivers, 4 hungry drivers, 4 different teams, 3 different manufacturers going into this. We have the Chevrolet of Grant Enfinger, we have the Chevrolet of Christian Eckes, the Ford of Ty Majeski, and the Toyota of Corey Heim. All these drivers are hungry. All these drivers want a shot at the championship. I'm really sitting here thinking, like, who do I think would have a legitimate shot at this? And it's hard. I want to choose Ty Majeski. He races super late models. I love super late models. He's sponsored by iRacing. I love iRacing. I love that kind of stuff. Then, do I want one of these older guys like Grant Enfinger? Do I want the older guy to get it? Do I want to get someone young like Christian? Do I want someone who's a little rough around the edges like Christian Eckes to try and get the win? Or do I want someone like Corey Heim who has had a good year so far?
Mm-hmm.
And is, holy crap, he was born in 2002. He's only a little older than me.
Yeah, he's older than me, which is crazy. Or younger than me, excuse me. That's just wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
So with that being said, if you had to give a pick right now, who would be your pick to win the championship?
I don't usually like to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go with who I want to win. I'm going to go Ty Majeski.
Interesting.
I think he's really starting to shine in the Truck Series. I think this year is his year to really seal the deal. I'm going to go Ty Majeski. Who you got?
I'm going to go with a repeat. I'm going Christian Eckes.
Okay.
You don't lead 187 laps the previous year and, do that by fluke. I think Eckes is prime position to go back-to-back. He's led the most laps. He's had the most stage wins, second high most wins. He has the most top fives, the most top tens statistically. And I like my numbers. Statistically, don't say it like that. Don't say it like that, Chad.
Did I make it sound weird? I was like, yeah, you do. You like your numbers.
No, you just your facial expression when you said that was a little interesting. I'll leave it at that. I'm kidding. I'm going to go Christian Eckes. I think he's been. I think he's right there. I mean, he's got to finish the race, but I think he has the best shot. Statistically, he's doing really well. Last year, again, I mean, he led 187 laps, and so that's a big indication. Now, will I think it'll be a little bit more even? Yes, absolutely. I still think Christian Eckes gets it done. So I think you'll see him battling up there. He'll probably win stage 1 and stage 2. So that's my pick on that side. So now I'm going to go with your philosophy here on the Xfinity series. I'm going to give my pick to win, who I'm just going to go purely off of what I want. I would love to see Allmendinger win a chip. I would 100% want to see Justin or AJ Allmendinger win that championship and just go absolutely berserk for the Xfinity series. I think it'd be amazing. So that's my Xfinity pick. That's
explode.
He literally. I don't know if that. I don't know what would happen. I mean, I don't know if he'd ever. I don't know. I mean, it'll be a party. It'll be crazy. So who's your pick?
Well, I think there's someone in this field. We have 3 Chevys, 4 different teams, 3 Chevys and a Ford. But I think there is one person in this field who's a little bit more hungry than all of them. I want AJ Allmendinger to win. That's who I would like to see win. But I would also like to see this other driver win. He's hungrier, not just for himself, but for the hundreds of employees that were laid off.
Mm-hmm.
The 00 of Cole Custer.
For sure.
Because he's not just doing it for himself. He's doing it for the entire organization that has stuck with him, even through these tougher times.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, statistically, it looks good. Top 5s, top 10s. I mean, I'm right there with you. Yeah. The wins have not been there, but the consistency has. He's led the most laps. That's a solid pick. 100% solid pick. Second highest stage points. So you got Custer, which is probably the most logical pick. I got Allmendinger, and now let's move on to the fun conversation. The Cup Series. So this is where it gets tough, and I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
Well, I already freaking know your pick. Am I wrong?
I know you're not, and I'm trying to base it off of statistics. So go with your pick. I'm gonna look up something really quick.
Okay. Well, when we look at the NASCAR Cup Series, we have to look at something. We have to look at one thing in particular, and that's the next-gen car. And who so far, championship-wise, is undefeated in the next-gen car? Penske.
Correct.
Penske has gone 2 for 2 on NASCAR championships since the introduction of the next-gen car. Now, do we have a two-time champion who's looking to make his third to join in a more exclusive club in the NASCAR world, Joey Logano? Or do we have another driver who's trying to go back-to-back for the first time, I believe, since Jimmy Johnson went 5 in a row?
Yep.
Ryan Blaney, and be the first driver since the playoff elimination style bracket came into NASCAR, be the first driver to go back-to-back. You got Ryan Blaney, who's hungry for that. Then you got 2 drivers who are hungry for it, all right? You got Tyler Reddick, who for a while was like one of those drivers I mentioned earlier in Formula One of those forgetful drivers until the introduction of the next-gen car, and he showed what he could actually do behind the wheel of a race car with more equal equipment. We saw that at Road America in excuse me. We saw that at Road America in 2022 in the number 8 Richard Childress racing car. All right, I remember I was with my dad in the hospital with that, watching that. That's weird segue, but you remember where you are for a few things. And then you got another driver who didn't come up into the sport as traditionally as other drivers. All right. He's trying to prove that he's trying to go from a sim to a championship win. William Byron. You have all of these guys. You have You have the team owner who's undefeated. You have the guy who's trying to prove that he can do it, and you got another guy who's trying to say like, hey, there's another way you can get into this sport and be successful. Throughout all of those, I think there is one person who is the hungriest for it, and it's not William Byron. Joe Logano's already got 2 championships. Ryan Blaney's already got a championship. Yes, they want more. But there's one driver who I think wants it more. 2 team owners who I think want it more.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Tyler Reddick.
Yeah. No,
Tyler Reddick, 2024 champion.
Yeah. I think that'd be crazy. I think it'd be really cool to see him win a championship. It still wouldn't be a championship for Denny Hamlin, though, from a driver perspective. So you still can't put him in that category, Chad. Though you're
seeing my other thought process on this now.
Yeah, you're like, which you can't know. That's not the same thing. Just because you win it as an owner doesn't mean you won it as a driver. It's not the same. You didn't win it. You didn't drive the car. Driver's championship a little bit different than owner's championship. But it would be cool to see Reddick win, and I think this is the challenge I'm in. Since the next gen era, William Byron and Ryan Blaney have been almost in a dead heat when it comes to statistics. In the first race in the next gen, you had.
Hey, real quick, you got to fix the podcast that you just uploaded.
Why?
The title for it is Brazilian GP Martinsville All-American 400. Oh my! Like the timestamps in it are. The timestamps on it are for this episode, which I don't even know how you have some of these. We haven't even talked about these yet.
What? How is that possible?
I don't know.
No, Brazilian Grand Prix driver predictions. This is for last week's. Because we didn't talk about tire strategies.
In this episode, the Flag to Flag podcast of the Flag, we discussed their weekend plans, including attending the All-America. They're
previewing the Brazilian GP. Yeah. So
my fault. I saw that and I got a little. It's like, what the heck? But
no, that'd be crazy. That'd be like, whoa. But no, I mean, looking at the two drivers that have been the best, really 3. Looking at back in 2023, nice throw. You had William Byron win, Blaney in second, Reddick in third in spring of 2023. You had Blaney, Byron, Reddick in that order of position, based on where they were. Blaney finished second, William Byron finished fourth, and I don't even see where Tyler Reddick finished in 22nd in the fall of 2023. In 2024, you had Ryan Blaney in fifth, you had Tyler Reddick in 10th, and you had William Byron in 18th. So, like, all these drivers have had somewhat of an issue here. The one driver who hasn't, Chad, has been Blaney. Blaney has not had an issue out of the 2. Yeah. And I'm going to take, when it comes to the end of the day, I'm going to take a driver who has won at this track over a driver who hasn't. If Christopher Bell was in this, I'd put Christopher Bell in this as well. But I'm looking at Logano. Logano's won a race in the last 7 races. So has William Byron. But William Byron has won in the next-gen car here. And so when you're looking at those statistics, I like Byron because of the win. Now, he only has 2 top 5s comparatively to Blaney's 6 top 5s. So from a consistency perspective, Blaney is there. But when it comes down to it, the 24 has been the most consistent in the playoffs. Now he's the most consistent driver. Blaney has not been the most consistent. I want to see consistency. I think it continues. If Christopher Bell was in this, I'd probably put Christopher Bell over Byron. I would, because of how well that 20 car has been doing, and to redeem himself from last year with the blown up brake. Christopher Bell went into turn 3 technically, and his brakes went out. And so, But again, I think Logano, I don't think he's going to have a day where I think he's going to win. I think they're going to have to do, if they're going to win, they're going to have to pull out another Kansas or Vegas. I don't think they're going to be able to pull out another Vegas. Blaney
Yeah.
is going to be up there. Reddick is going to be up there. I think it's going to be a battle between Reddick, Byron, and Blaney. And I believe that Byron will get that. And that's not from a biased perspective at all. I think he has been the most consistent in the playoffs, and consistency matters. And I need to go back and look at Ryan Blaney's last finishes. I'm going to do that right now. Because I want to see specifically where he's been since the playoffs have started. Because I know Byron has not finished outside the top 10 since, like, I can't even remember. Yeah, so like to give you the update on this. So starting with where are we? Atlanta. So third, 38 6th, fourth, 39 10, 32 2 1. So, you know, he's had 3 finishes of 30th or worse.
Yeah.
And then if you look at really quick, let me pull this up. I should have done this before. If you look at Byron's specific statistics, you have Atlanta. His worst finish was Watkins Glen of 34th, but you have second, third, fourth, sixth, all in a row. Second worst finish is 17th. So when I'm looking at consistency, I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to pick Byron to win. And from a fan perspective, I'd cry. But from a statistics perspective, I like the top 5s from Blaney. I think he'll be up there, but consistency is where it's been, and Byron has been in the top 6 for the last 7 races. So
in all honesty, the big, you know me, I like to cheer for the underdog almost. I mean, and that's what kind of Tyler Reddick is in this.
Underdog or the red dog, 100%.
Yeah, but you kind of have to look at. Yeah, I mean, you look at Byron, you look at Blaney. It's easy to say that, and honestly, if anyone else was in that spot, I would be saying them, one of them. But yeah, wow, I think this was
Really quick though, because he's in the news. I don't know if you saw the news today.
No, I didn't.
I'm using it as a
try
prop
not
for
to look
once.
at the news.
So this is Michael Jordan, right? He's on a Wheaties box. Michael Jordan was in court today with the 2311 Front Row Motorsport court case. He said it went really, really well. And he said he's looking forward to potentially win a championship this weekend. So when it comes to that whole topic of conversation, which we haven't talked about in a second, it looks like it's going well for 2311 and Front Row. So
yeah,
I mean,
I think it'll be interesting, and honestly, I think a lot of this is building up for next season, and I think next season's going to be good, and I can't wait to be there in Daytona to help kick it off.
Absolutely. I mean, that'd be cool if I could make it up there.
I'll get with you.
We'll talk about it. But yeah, so like I said before, last thing I'll say about the championship, if I had to pick a second driver to win, it'd be Tyler Reddick. I would want him to win just simply because it'd be a big middle finger to the man. So, as I said in my video, so if you've watched this point or listened to this point, we appreciate it so much. And if you haven't already, if you're on YouTube watching this, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss another episode of any short form content we're going to put out. If you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because Apple Podcasts is our biggest listener demographic right now, make sure to rate the show, give us 5 stars, whatever platform you're on. Make sure to like and tune in, and make sure to subscribe to the show, follow the show. And if you're on all of our social channels or are not on our social channels, check us out at Flag to Flag Podcast everywhere: TikTok, Facebook, obviously YouTube, and on Instagram at @flag_podcast. That is the final lap here. We've reached the checkered flag. Chad, any final words?
I'm going to take a nap.
Go take a nap. I'm going to go back to work. Yeah. Ciao.
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow. Ka-chow. There we go.